ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خاتم الأنبياء والسيد المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم وتب علينا يا مولانا إنك التواب الرحيم. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي وبعد. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. My brothers and sisters, they've asked me to talk on a topic that is very dear to my heart, community initiatives and its role in Dawah. Community initiatives and its role in Dawah. This topic of community initiatives and its role in Dawah speaks to the social consciousness of the Muslim. The social consciousness of the Muslim. The human being by nature is sociable. He is social and sociable, both. And by nature, the human being is affable, he is neighborly, he is friendly. That is by nature. That is a norm. I find a person in a normal context. And so the human being, because of Allah, how Allah has made him, he is he's not isolated, but interdependent. Not independent, even though very often we tend to act as though we are independent, and our society teach us to be independent. We are self-sufficient, because independence is good, but when we feel a sense of self-sufficiency with our independence, then we want to pull ourselves away. We think we are better and above others. So that self-sufficiency with independence is what takes us away. But we are, in reality, we are interdependent. We are interdependent. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made us like that. And everything, so that whatever affects one will eventually affect the other. So the environment, if it is not right, the environment, if we allow it to go and do not correct the environment, then it can affect each and every one of us. And this is what Dawah is. Enjoining the good and removing or prohibiting the bad. For if there is something that is not good in the environment and we do not change it, we do not make an effort to change it, we do not even consider it, when it's not the role of the Muslim, because the believer, that is his role. Man ra'a minkum munkar fayughayyiruhu biyadihi. Right? As Brother Muhammad pointed out, Rasulullah says, whoever sees wrong being done, let him change it with his hands. فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ فَبِلِسَانِهِ. We might not be at the level of yad, we might not be able, because it needs sulta, it needs some degree of power and authority to change things with our hands. So we may not be in a position to change things with our hands, but certainly we are at the level and in an environment that we can use our tongue. We are in an environment that we can use our tongue. There's one thing in this country, we can use our tongue. We can speak out against wrong. We don't just leave it. And then the lowest level of Iman, فَأَلَّمْ يَسْتَجْفُ بِقَلْبِهِ وَذَلِكَ أَضَفُ الْإِيمَانِ. And then if you can't, or you don't speak out, then you should feel it in your heart. In other words, you should have some sense of feeling about what's happening around you. So we as Muslims, we must have some sense of feeling about what's happening around us. We cannot be isolated, because we are interdependent. That is our nature, Muslim or non-Muslim. So what happens around us should affect us in some way. And we need to take a stand, even if only it is in our hearts. And that's the lowest level of Iman. We have to take a stand. Because that is the nature of man. It is this sociable nature of man that drives him to create community. It is that social need of interdependence that causes him to want to create a community. So community comes of that social nature. It drives him to create social order. And this is part of human life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us this. So that society is a product of the humanity's desire for social interaction. Society is a product of humanity's desire for social interaction. In the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings this point clear to us. And He calls mankind, He calls man insan. لَقَدْ خَلَقْنَا الْإِنسَانِ. He calls us insan. Insan comes from the word uns. I know some people say it comes from nisyan, but it's true, we are forgetful. But uns, this is the word that it comes from. And uns means sociability. It means companionability. It means friendliness. It means a sense of civility. A sense of civility. And so uns is the opposite of wahsh. The opposite of uns is wahsh. Wahsh means that lonely desertedness, that lonely deserted state, that wild untamed land. That is wahsh. So wahshi means the crazy dude, the one that is off. He has no sense of balance in civility. He cannot live in a social environment. That untamed, uncivilized savageness. And that's not the nature of the human being. That is not the nature of the human being. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us as social beings. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made us in this manner. So when we talk of community initiatives, we are talking about the social consciousness of the Muslims. Unfortunately, we have been very slow and we are very negligent and very not upfront in this aspect. We drag our feet a lot when it comes to social consciousness. For social consciousness does not only affect us, it's not only the Muslims. Wherever you are, it affects you. The society, the community affects you. You don't say, this is not my business, that don't concern me. Because sooner or later it will affect you. And this is borne out when the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he talks about society and he talks about our obligation to enjoin the right and forbid the wrong, and he gives the example, he gives the similitude of a ship. Society is like a ship of many decks. There are people on the upper decks and there are people on the lower decks. And those on the lower deck, they need to get water, they come to the one on the upper deck. And then one of them said to themselves, why are we bothering those people? Here we are sitting on top of the water. Let's dig a hole right here, we get all the water we need. Rasulullah says, if those people up there, watch them and says, look at those silly people. They're digging a hole in the boat. If they make fun of them or look at them and leave them alone, that's not my concern. If they leave them alone, that all of them will be destroyed eventually. So they have to go and say, no, you cannot do that. You have to take a stand, you have to take a position. Because sooner or later, they might dig a hole in the bottom of the boat, at the bottom of the ship, and you might be upper deck, but sooner or later, the water is going to reach you. Sooner or later, the water is going to reach you. Even on the upper deck, when you know when the Titanic was going down. It's not the people on the bottom that fled out first, yes. But all those people on the upper decks, the upper one, it reached them also. Because that is what it is like. So social interaction is important. Social consciousness is important. We need that social consciousness. We need to awaken our social consciousness. And the Prophet ﷺ was socially conscious. The Prophet Muhammad ﷺ tells us of a story of his while he was at Mecca, before Bi'athah, before he was elevated to the level of prophethood. He tells us about a society that was formed by some of the good people of Mecca, Abbas and a couple of other good people in Mecca. And he joined that society. It was called Hilful Fudul. Hilful Fudul. It was a group that got together because Mecca was a very crude place. It was a mercantile environment, so people are very harsh and business oriented. And it's all about making money. It's commerce. So people were very harsh because it was a mercantile environment. Unlike Medina, which was more pastoral. Right? Medina was more pastoral. But Mecca was mercantile. People had different mentality. Even if you go today, you find out the mentality of the Meccan is different than the mentality of the Medina people. It's completely different. If you go and you stand a little bit, you realize the difference between the two of them. And so the Prophet ﷺ mentioned of this group. This group was formed to help protect the weak and the oppressed in the society. And the oppressed in the society. The weak and the oppressed ones in the society. So those people who were wronged by some strong person in the community and they had no one to turn to, they could come to this group and says, look, this is my situation. Could you help me out? Could you help us? Actually, an incident actually took place after the advent of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, after he declared his prophethood. And he was sitting in the Kaaba, sitting in the shade as the practice was, and he's sitting there, and this person who was wronged, he was wronged by Abu Jahl. He was wronged by Abu Jahl. Abu Jahl took his property, took his goods from him, because people come to sell their business, make business, and sell their property. Mecca was a very good market. He comes to sell his stuff, he took it and then he wouldn't pay him. He wouldn't give him his money, nobody returned his thing to him. So he's going around looking for somebody to help him out. How can help me get my money from Abu Jahl? Nobody wanted to approach Abu Jahl because he didn't name Abu Jahl for nothing. Abu Jahl means father of ignorance. And he didn't name Abu Jahl for nothing. So nobody's going to approach him. So some people are sitting there and they want to make fun of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they says, go ask. You see that man over there sitting? Go ask him. And he came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't know who he was. He came to him and says, this is my problem. I sold this thing to this man, and so on, so on, so on, so on. He did. And could you help me? The Prophet says, okay, come with me. The Prophet took him and went to the house of Abu Jahl. He took him. And the people was following because people didn't think that the Prophet ﷺ would go and challenge Abu Jahl in this manner. So everybody is following. They say, okay, what is he going to do? And the Prophet ﷺ went, knocked on the house. Abu Jahl came, looked out. The Prophet ﷺ told him, did you take stuff from this man? You owe this man something? Abu Jahl says, yes. He said, give this man what you owe him, what belonged to him. Abu Jahl turned, he went and got it, bring it and give it back to the man. And man said, very thank you, and he gone. And the people are very shocked. People are absolutely shocked. When the Prophet left and so he got Abu Jahl, what's wrong with you? What happened? You gone soft or what? What happened? He says, you don't understand. He says, when they opened the door, I saw this huge she-camel with his mouth ready to bite my head off. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala began rob in his heart. Allah placed a fear in his heart. So when he saw the Prophet, he was absolutely terrified. And he thought he saw a camel, a big she-camel with his mouth ready to bite his head off. That's how he saw the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the ru'ab that Allah put in his heart. But Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that was the role of Rasulullah, to help people. And this is where we have to do it. And when we see that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when people come to Medina from outside, they're coming, they're traveling, they come to Medina, they come to find out about deen. They come to find out about the deen. So he comes, he wants to know about the deen. He comes, the Prophet ﷺ come and sit him down and start giving him a lecture. No. Who's going to take care of this man? Give him some food, let him take a rest, refresh himself. And when he's settled, then he can come now, he's ready to listen. Because they were hospitable to him first. They fed his stomach. And they gave him rest. and they allow him to refresh himself. Now he's ready to listen. This is how you give dawah. We reach out to the people. So that initiatives, we need to take very serious social initiatives in the community. Unfortunately, socially, we don't even take care of our own. We don't even take care of our own. Not even talking about the non-Muslims, Muslims themselves. How many of our brothers and sisters that become old? They're old, they become shut in. How do we have a society, benevolent society among the Muslims that will visit or shut-ins? You know, or old brothers and sisters who cannot make it to the masjid anymore? Do we visit them? Do we make them feel welcome as still part of the community? Make them, do we have any, at any masjid, do we have any little vans like you find in the Christians and the Jewish communities that they will go and collect these old people and bring them to the center and have some activity with them? Do we have this? No, you don't have this stuff. You have this among non-Muslims. But among Muslims, you know, so we don't even take care of our own. Do we have programs geared to our young people? Or youth? And we say, oh, the youth is the future. How much do we invest in the future then? How much money, any community or Muslims say, how much do we invest in this our future? The youth are the future. How much do we invest in them? How much do we pay attention to what is needed to make them prepared? Because Abu Bakr, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he says, prepare your youth for a time other than your own. Prepare your youth for a time other than your own. Don't prepare them to live in your time, because they're not for your time. They're not from your time. There was this king, and he was traveling, and he saw an old man. He saw an old man, and there's this old man. He is planting apple trees. He's planting apple trees. And this man is the old man. He's over 60, maybe 70. He's old man. He's planting apple trees. And the king is fascinated by this old man planting apple trees. And he goes to him and he says, you know, excuse me, but I see you planting apple trees. You are old. By the time these trees bear, ready to bear fruit, you died. You would have died and gone. You will not be able to eat from the fruit of this tree, because it takes time, and you're so old. And the man said, I know that. I know that. But come with me. And he took him to another area. And there he saw him an apple grove, trees bearing fruit. And he said, my father planted this for me. I was planting that for my sons, my children. It was not for me. We have to prepare, train our young people. We have to invest in them. We need to have social initiatives that is going to take care of our elderly among ourselves and the Muslim community, and then we reach out to others. You know that the Jewish community, people talk whatever they want to talk about them, but the Jewish community, you can learn a lot from them. They have the Jewish Community Center. The Jewish Community Center. I know most of you might have know about it. They're based in different places. They're in New York, they're Manhattan, they're West Orange. We have them in West Orange. We have them all around. Jewish community centers that they build and establish. These facilities, they have all kinds of stuff going on in these facilities. And a lot of them are run by grant money sometimes from the government and different agencies also. They're run by grant money. And they're very well established. They have facilities for youth, facilities for the old people. In Manhattan, you can go there. They have, like in the summer now, they have all these cultural programs. So in the middle of the day, you go and listen to some music from Saudi playing or whatever music or whatever it is. They have stuff catered to everybody. And even non-Jews can join the club and pay a fee and benefit from some of the facilities that they have, but they cater to their people. We don't. So our initiatives, I think first, our initiatives need to start taking care of the social needs. We not only need spiritual needs. The only institutions that we've been focusing on so far is masajids and Islamic centers. And to a lesser extent, schools. And I don't think we have the right approach to the establishment in terms of education. I don't think we have fully grasped the concept of education, because we set up these little small schools that can't even support each other, support themselves. So it's substandard or is extremely expensive. It is out of the range of the average person to send their kids there. But the Jews never send their kids to anybody to learn, because they prepare their kids for a different mentality, with a different mentality, a different outlook. You are the leaders of the community, and they prepare them as leaders. So from kindergarten to high school, they control their kids, and they train them, and they teach them, and they prepare them for the Ivy League colleges. They prepare them for Ivy League, because Ivy League produced the intelligentsia of the community. We need to take education in a different understanding, a different scope, and work together. May Allah want to make it easy for us and guide us and help us to be more socially conscious for ourselves, for our own survival. Because we need to start taking care of our own. I know we can say you can go to the doctors, you can go to the Jewish hospital, or you go to the Christian hospital, or you go to the government facility, or stuff like that. Where in this country do we have a Muslim hospital? Where? I mean, we'll fight up and argue about building a cultural center at ground zero, as they call it. And we'll argue about why we should have a cultural center there. And I say, why can't we have a hospital at ground zero? We need stuff like that. So the Muslims are making themselves relevant by building a hospital. Therefore, we have to support them. We can't oppose them. But if we can build a mosque or something, they can fight you down on it. Because we don't need any more masjids. We need hospitals. We need clinics. We need social centers. We need rehabilitative units. We need a lot of stuff that not only can benefit us, but benefit others. May Allah SWT forgive us and give us the straight path. I know I've gone to my time. May Allah SWT guide us. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ومن أحسن قولا ممن دعا إلى الله وعمل صالحا وقال إنني من المسلمين